All right, today we're tackling something absolutely fundamental to Web3, the graph protocol. And to really get our heads around it, we're going to use one big idea. It's basically the Google of blockchains. So, why on earth does the blockchain world even need a Google? Well, let's dive in and find out.
I mean, seriously, can you even imagine trying to use the internet today without Google? It would be a total nightmare, right? Just chaos. Well, that's pretty much the world developers were living in with blockchains. The tech is, revolutionary, but actually getting specific information out of it, man, it was slow, it was complicated, a real headache. So let's break down exactly why that's the case.
Okay, so let's get right to the root of it all. Blockchain's big data problem. And look, it's not that the data is missing. It's all there. The issue is how it's all organized. And that creates some serious roadblocks for anyone trying to build on it.
And this really breaks down why it's such a pain. See, blockchains are built for one thing above all else: security, not for fast lookups. The best way to think about it is like a giant, ever-growing ledger book. Every single transaction is just another line added to the end. So what if a developer wants to do something simple, like find all the NFTs a specific wallet owns? Well, they'd have to read the entire book from page 1, scanning millions and millions of entries. It's just not going to work if you want to build the kind of fast, snappy apps we all expect.
So, before the graph came along, what was the workaround? People used centralized APIs. And yeah, sure, they were faster, but they totally missed the point of Web3, right? You end up with a single point of failure, and you're forced to trust some central company. It just completely goes against that whole decentralized spirit.
And that's the core problem, that tension between decentralization and actually being able to use the data. It's the exact problem the graph was designed to fix. So let's get into the solution, the Google for blockchains.
So what is it exactly? Well, the graph protocol is a decentralized way to index and then query data from blockchains. The key takeaway here is that it lets developers get at all that messy, complicated data just as easily as they would from a regular old database. It's a game changer.
And this is the perfect way to think about it. You know how Google constantly crawls and indexes the entire internet to make it searchable? Well, the graph does the exact same thing for blockchain data. It takes all that chaos and makes it simple and accessible.
Okay, but indexing the whole blockchain world, that sounds like a huge job, right? So how in the world does the graph actually pull it off, especially in a decentralized way? Let's get into the nuts and bolts of how it all works.
It really comes down to this super smart three-step process. First, a developer defines exactly what data they care about, say all the activity from a specific smart contract. They do this using something called a subgraph. Second, a whole decentralized network of people gets to work, processing and organizing that data. And finally, once it's all neatly arranged, developers can query it and get exactly the info they need, like instantly.
And those subgraphs I just mentioned, you gotta understand, they are the absolute heart of this entire system. Think of a subgraph like a custom-made recipe for data. It tells the network, hey, pay attention to these specific events on the blockchain, understand them in this way, and organize them just like this. It's the magic piece that turns that raw, jumbled mess into a clean, structured, and super useful data set.
And check this out. This is what it actually looks like for a developer. Instead of writing pages of complicated code to scan the blockchain, they can just write a simple query like this. It's basically just asking in plain language, hey, find me the first 5 tokens owned by this wallet address, and all I need is their ID and name. That's it. It's super fast, super precise, just incredibly powerful.
Now, how does this whole network stay online and honest? Well, it's all powered by money, by economic incentives. You've got 3 main players. First are the indexers. These are the folks running the computers that do all the heavy lifting, processing the data. They earn fees for their work. Then you have curators. Think of them like quality scouts. They find and signal which subgraphs are actually good and useful, and they get a piece of the action. And finally, you have delegators. Anyone can be a delegator. You just stake your tokens with an indexer you trust, helping to secure the network and earning rewards without having to run any of the tech yourself.
Okay, so this all sounds great in theory, but is anyone actually using it? Oh yeah, let's take a look at how this thing is already the backbone for a ton of Web3 apps you might even be using right now.
First up, and this is a big one, NFT marketplaces.
Think about it. When you're scrolling through a marketplace like OpenSea, you expect to see who owns an NFT, its entire history, all its details, and you expect it to load instantly. Well, that speed is only possible because of the graph.
It has all that data already indexed and ready to go. Without it, that page would just sit there loading and loading forever. All right, next up, let's talk about the engine room of Web3, DeFi, or decentralized finance.
Big DeFi platforms like Uniswap absolutely rely on the graph for all their critical data. You know that dashboard that shows the total value locked, the TVL? Or when you check your own liquidity positions, even the chart showing the price history for a token swap. All of that information is being pulled super quickly and efficiently, all thanks to Subgraphs.
And this is really important. It's not just an Ethereum thing. A huge reason the graph is so foundational is because it's cross-chain. It's indexing data from Polygon, Arbitrum, Avalanche, you name it. This gives developers one consistent tool to build apps that can work across the entire Web3 ecosystem.
So we've seen the problem, we've seen the solution, and we've seen where it's being used. But what's the big picture here? What does this all really mean? Because this is more than just a tool for developers. It's really a foundational layer for what the future of open data looks like.
As Web3 keeps growing, the amount of data being put on-chain is just exploding. It's exponential. So the need for indexed, searchable data isn't just a nice-to-have anymore, it's becoming absolutely essential. Seriously, without a scalable solution like the graph, the growth of this entire space would hit a massive wall.
So if there's one thing to take away from all this, it's this. The graph solves a really deep, fundamental problem, and it does it with a decentralized network where everybody's incentives are perfectly aligned. It's the building block that makes a truly scalable Web3 possible, and it's already running behind the scenes in apps that millions of people are using today.
And that leaves us with one final, pretty powerful question to think about. As more and more of our digital lives move on-chain, our money, our art, our identity, our social connections, who gets to control access to all of that history? Is it going to be a handful of big centralized companies? The graph's answer to that is simple: everyone. And that one little idea, well, that could change everything about the future of the internet.